Check, te digo check que estoy chequeando la movida.
Hola. Okay, what is your favorite Christmas movie? I'm not saying the best, just what is your favorite? Because if there's one genre that is absolutely free of any objectivity, it's holiday movies, and that's what makes them so great in my opinion. The fact that the bar for quality can be almost non-existent. They have a message, they are fun, they're emotional, and they take place at some point during the holidays. That's it. So, I love the holidays. It is easily my favorite time of year, so every year I look forward to watching the films, hearing the songs, and seeing the lights and just taking in the vibes. Now, the Santa Claus, It's a Wonderful Life, Home Alone, they're all great movies and certified bangers, but they're also overplayed. And since I'm not spending the holidays with my family, I'd like to share with you some of my favorite holiday movies. And just a heads up, these will not be reviews or deep analysis. I just want to share the vibes with you and maybe put you onto some lesser known or underrated films that have been a part of my regular rotation for a while now. But again, hola, my name is Owl, and this is Factually Maybe. I still remember the first time I watched Tokyo Godfathers, Satoshi Kon's sole comedic feature and statement on the meaning of Christmas, spirituality, organized religion, how society treats unhoused people and trans people, and at the center of it all, family. The one we're born into, the one we choose, and the one that chooses us. There are many reasons why I hold this film so near and dear to my heart. For one, I first watched it when I was in peak weeaboo form, so, it stuck. But also because it's that rare film that fully utilizes the art form to entertain and delight, to teach but not preach, and above all else, to comfort you and to let you know that you're not alone. I love the fact that it is a rare example of a film that is unironically empathetic towards unhoused men and women. In fact, it points the finger directly at a society that robs them of their identity and their humanity at every turn and interaction. I love that Hana is the emotional and spiritual center of our story, her identity being a constant source of mockery and disrespect by other characters, and yet she remains confident and strong the whole way through. This was probably the first time that I saw a trans person on screen, and I'm so glad that I saw this at the age that I did because it definitely shaped how I, as a straight masked person, saw queer people, even as the environment that I grew up in held very different and outright negative views towards them. But Hana, in all her nuance, confidence, and strength, normalized queerness and, more specifically, trans identity in my eyes at precisely the right time in my life. I guess I should give you some plot details. Tokyo Godfathers follows three unhoused people, Hana, Gin, and Miyoki, who have just come across an abandoned baby. They then decide they have to bring the baby home. Along the way, hijinks ensue, lessons are learned, and a lovely dose of magical realism speaks to the power of belief, of hope, and the spiritual, although not necessarily Christian, magic of Christmas, and the importance of your chosen family and home. Yes, there are Reyes Magos allegories here. And yes, that is definitely baby Jesus, essentially introduced to us in trash. And yes, the reversal here is that while the three wise people are trying to save the baby, it is the baby that saves them. But a very important note here is that this is not necessarily a Christian or even purely religious film. It's a story about humanity, about understanding each other and really nurturing our self-worth. And yes, I'll say it one more time, it's about family and how we define it. Now, as far as I can see, it's only available as a rental, so I'm sorry that I can't point you to a specific streaming service, but I know you know there are other ways to find it. We don't judge here at laMovida. So, go watch this masterpiece and enjoy. I'll just say this up front. There is no Christmas like a Puerto Rican Christmas. There's no holiday season like Navidad de Boricua. My condolences if you're not familia, but it is what it is. Puerto Rico is undefeated. We start before Thanksgiving all the way until mid-January, and every single day is filled with music, food, family, and good vibes all around. And while this year is going to be especially difficult for me for obvious reasons, but also because I will not be there, I can always count on one movie that captures the experience in several key ways. And that is something that I can't remember ever seeing on screen, except for this movie, Nothing Like the Holidays.
Oh my god.
Now, this movie is interesting because it also tells a rarely told story, that of a Puerto Rican family that does not live in Puerto Rico. And even though that was not my experience growing up, everything about this movie still feels extremely familiar. The characters, the energy, the music, the food, it's all there. They're not in Puerto Rico, but Puerto Rico is very much in them. And that's something that I learned was pleasantly accurate when I moved to New York and saw that, yep, wherever you go, you carry your culture with you. Your people will find you and you will find your people. Está en la sangre. And it's always such a comfort for me to watch this, because even if I'm not spending the holidays with my family, I can still feel like I'm with familia while I'm watching this movie. Now, as a film, it's fine. For starters, the once and future Doc Ock, Alfred Molina, absolutely carries this film. And John Leguizamo, the original Lin-Manuel Miranda, is out here doing entirely too much. You have Jay Hernandez, Luis Guzman. It's a who's who of late-aughts Latino actors and actresses. There's a bit of melodrama, and the acting can be a little bit hammy, but you know what? That sounds like a perfectly fine holiday movie. And for me, as Boricua and as a Christmas dork, it's perfect. If you're Boricua or you're not and were ever curious about what Christmas looks like for other cultures or Latino families specifically within the United States, this is a movie that welcomes you into the vibras. And wouldn't you know it, it's actually available to watch on HBO Max and Prime Video. Not sponsored, I promise. Now, here I might be cheating a little bit because I'm not recommending a movie. I'm recommending 2 episodes of a Netflix hidden gem. Midnight Diner, Tokyo Stories. You want to talk about vibes, this series? Midnight Diner is where it's at. It's an anthology series and easily one of the most charming, comforting shows I've ever had the pleasure of watching. If lo-fi hip-hop beats to study, chill to was adapted into a narrative sitcom, this will be it. And as fantastic as the whole series is, I do have a special spot in my heart for its 2 holiday episodes, which are technically New Year's Eve episodes, but they also double as Christmas specials. These episodes, like all of Midnight Diner, are a slower vibe than the previous recommendations. These are small stories, character stories, comforting stories, and emotional stories. And at the core of it all is the diner of my dreams, Master's Midnight Diner. Tiny and cozy and really dreamlike. When I found this show, I was deep into a long stretch of working overnight shifts, typically starting close to midnight and ending at around 8 in the morning. So when Master says, I'm immediately sold. Well, that and the opening music and the visuals just set the atmosphere of the show so perfectly. The calm, dark of night, the small corner the diner occupies, the ASMR-ness of the cooking sequences. The shots, medium frame, firmly planted and unmoving, allow the stories, the emotions, and the performances to breathe, and you, as the viewer, to feel almost as if you're in the story, quietly peeking into these slices of life in Japan. Now, some disclosure, it does help to watch most of the season to fill in some blanks. There are recurring characters and references, but we're talking about 20-some minute episodes that are a soothing breeze to get through. And you'll be rewarded with enjoying these smaller moments in these 2 episodes that much more. Especially how Master himself gets a few short but intriguing peeks at his character and backstory. But with that being said, it's not absolutely necessary. Again, this is an anthology series, so every episode is its own self-contained story. Midnight Diner feels more like a meditative stage play than it does a television show, which makes the writing, the performances, and the atmosphere all the more effective. And in episodes like Crab and Toshikoshi Soba, I get to feel like I wandered into Master's Diner, and I can reflect on the year behind me, surrounded by fellow loners, drinking some beer and slurping on some delicious soba noodles, comforted by the feeling that, at least right now, everything is okay. Small stories, quietly told, set in nighttime Japan, and delicious Japanese food at the center of it all. If this isn't extremely my shit, I don't know what is. And for those long dark hours at work, I found a companion and a sort of home. Midnight Diner is a warm weighted blanket of a show, and the ultimate solo watching experience. Just perfect. So this one was always going to be a bit different. I didn't want to do the big brain shit this time around. You know, the end of the year tends to be a time to reflect, and for me, it has been a time to slow down and really re-examine my relationship to certain aspects of my life. I don't know about you, but this year, and especially as of late, it's been a time to really re-engage and reappreciate the little things in life. And sometimes that means finding comfort and maybe consolation in a few of my favorite things in my holiday rotation. But as nice as that familiarity is, it's always exciting for me to find new ones and add to this rotation. So, what's in your holiday rotation? Let me know in the comments or on social. I lurk more than Santa does. And if I still have your attention, consider subscribing and gently tapping that like button. It's not my kink, but YouTube told me to tell you that, so I'm telling you. I don't know. Feed the algorithm. With all that said, my name is Owl. This is laMovida. Deuces.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad.